I'm Daphne. Welcome to my tutorial for this block in my textured sampler blanket design. If you don't yet have the pattern book for the textured sampler blanket, get the free download. Instructions to get your download are given at the end of this video. Also, there are tutorial videos for all the knitting stitches used in the textured sampler on my YouTube channel. Welcome to Block D of the textured sampler blanket. 3 new stitches and one that you've done previously. You've done this beautiful little bobble circle in a previous one, but the other ones are new: mistake rib, scallop stitch and blind buttonhole. Block D has charts once again for the scallop stitch and the bobble circle, those two there, and for the blind buttonhole and mistake rib, those two. When I knit my block, I'm going to put a new colour here instead of staying with the same colour. You can make your choice when you come to it. When you cast on, you'll be casting on the colour for the bobble circle first, then the scallop stitch, which is the opposite way to what you think you'd be doing it. When casting on with 2 colours, remember to loop the second yarn around the first yarn to make a nice even edge to your knitting. This is the tail of the yellow. We don't loop it around that bit, we loop it around the working side. This side is the tail, and this side is what I call the working side. Now, this can be adjusted by just pulling it up. There we are, a nice neat edge. After the cast on, there are 2 foundation rows. You knit 1 row and then purl the second row. And that's what I have done here. So now I'm up to beginning the patterns. Here are the first 2 pattern stitches that we need for this block. As you can see, the writing is bigger than what I had showed you on the previous pages. And the diagram's bigger as well, which makes it easier. These are what I use when I'm actually knitting, along with the charts to keep everything hunky-dory. I have just completed row 5 of the scallop stitch. Here I am where it joins with the bobble circle, but I'm not going to the bobble circle to work. At number 5 here, I turn, and I'm going to work back, making sure I twist this around. So now I'm going to knit in that direction. I did the turn and I did row 6 of the scallop stitch. So now it'll be back to row 1 for the scallop stitch and row 5 for the bobble circle. I have finished the scallop stitch and the bobble circle. Notice that you have to knit 1 extra row when you finish the patterns. A nice combination. Before beginning the mistake rib and the blind buttonhole stitch, 1 purl row is worked in the new colours as a foundation row. Even though the mistake rib has only 1 row to its pattern, we still have a chart for putting the buttonhole stitch together with the rib stitch. That's because we'll need to turn and do some short rows for the blind buttonhole stitch. So this is really to tell you when to turn and do the short row. The mistake rib has only 1 row. Mistake rib. Knit 2, purl 2, repeat until you get to the last 3 stitches where you knit 2 and purl 1. The same every row. Rather like the scallop stitch, the blind buttonhole stitch has slipped stitches as well. Sometimes you slip the stitch with the yarn in front, and sometimes you slip the stitches with the yarn in back. Now the front and the back of your knitting, the front side is the side closest to you and the back is the side away from you. This is the beginning for the blind buttonhole and the mistake rib. 1 purl row, and for the blind buttonhole increase 1 in that first row. This foundation row replaces row 1 for the buttonhole stitch. So when we start on row 2 for the buttonhole stitch, but of course when you repeat you have the normal row 1. For the very first row of the mistake rib, we're going to knit 1 row instead of doing the pattern. There are 20 rows for the blind buttonhole, and we're going to work them 3 times. As you can see, I have done the blind buttonhole pattern twice, now up to the 3rd time through. As you can see, I've put a little K or P next to some of the rows. These are the rows that are just all knit for the blind buttonhole or all purl. I think it makes it a little bit easier. You might notice that from the previous charts I have just changed this last little bit here. That's to allow for a neat changeover in colour from here, from the blue to the cream, and from the reverse stocking stitch to the stocking stitch. Here is block D completed. It's a little wibbly wobbly because of the patterns, but after you block it, it will all be nice and square and ship shape. Here is block D in the original blanket. And you can see that after it has been blocked, it becomes nice and square. The difference between the pattern I did today and this one is that I changed colour for these 3 bits here, for the stocking stitch, reverse stocking stitch and the stocking stitch again. That's all, folks. I will join you again when you are ready for the next block of the textured sampler blanket. Bye bye from Daphne.
Hi, I'm Ferg, Daphne's husband. Here are the steps to get your free download of Daphne's Textured Sampler ebook. The first step is send an email to knitwithdaphne@gmail.com and include the subject free download. There is no need for any content in the email, and then send the email. You will receive an automatic response to your email that includes the link to access Google Cloud. When you click the link, the Knit with Daphne folder with all the downloadable patterns will open. Double-click the textured sampler blanket to open and download the ebook. Enjoy knitting the textured sampler blanket.